And because Satan hates and despises God, he also hates and despises anything that even remotely resembles God. And so if we have that ability to be a reflection of God right here on our earth through our marriage relationship, what do you think Satan is going to want to attack? And I don't mind saying, if you look out in our world today, he's done a hell of a job. Because we live in a church today where in the last 38 years, 17 million Catholics have come into the Catholic Church. However, in that same time frame, the marriage rate has fallen by 60%, which means one of two things. Either young couples are failing to see the beauty of a sacramental marriage relationship and the grace, or two, they're just deciding to forego marriage altogether and to just live together. And that in and of itself brings on another whole host of problems and issues in and of itself. But again, we have to come to realize that God has given us each other again as that gift, so that we can look at each other and be in awe and to just be floored of the fact that, as Adam would say at last, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, that inherently we have that natural desire to want to love someone and to have that love in return. And God gave us this beautiful sacrament called marriage to be able to experience that love.
The second one is to be a helpmate for each other. There's a purpose. And what are we here to help each other do? What? Get to heaven. Exactly. But it's so amazing how we don't think of that. Your job, the one that you're sitting next to, or if your spouse is not here, the one you're sitting next to is your clearest pathway to heaven. Some of us are going, ouch.
You mean I have to depend on her to get to heaven? When in reality, she should get to heaven because she had to put up with me.
Good job. Way to fix it. Because you get to the point where we don't understand his plan or his purpose. And when you don't understand God's plan or purpose, then we end up playing games. And games hurt. I'm telling you, there's something that's different about this place. There is a reason. I think it's because this must be some kind of an important place where marriage is going to be turned around. Because I'll just share with you, I had my heart attack the first time. That was fixed. On the way here, did you share that with him? On the way here, we just had 6 donors give us enough money to buy a brand new RV to do this great marriage challenge. Because see, we thought about this 5 years ago. We had the flyers done, then I had my heart attack. We get the RV, and 2 days into our trip, after the RV, Greg's driving down the highway on I-35, and there is a truck parked sideways on I-35, and it's in Oklahoma City, and we're getting ready to turn off at the exit, and the guy punches it and stops, punches it, and he floors it right in front of us, hits the whole front of our RV, and then takes off. Okay, it goes there, and they found his abandoned truck at the border of Arkansas with switch license plates, whatever that was about. We thought we were going home. This was our last trip. But we got a 15-passenger van, and in an RV you don't have suitcases. So we shoved everything into this van, including our 5 children. And we continued. Greg said, we have to go. We're on a mission. We cannot stop. Well, we were ready to, again, go home. He had typed a letter to 2 priests, one in Denver and one at Northern Arizona University, and almost pushed send. And a couple that we were staying with in Iowa came and brought us a check to say, this is to continue your mission. You can't stop. So they paid for us to continue the mission, to come all around. Then we were at home for 6 days. Didn't know what we were going to do. We were going to cancel this whole thing. And our friend sees everything that happened on Facebook and said, guys, I've got a 35-foot RV. As long as you're home by Thanksgiving, you can use mine.
And don't wreck it.
And don't wreck it. So I'm praying the whole time. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And just now, our son broke out an allergic reaction. That's why I had to leave. It's like, okay, somebody in here, please, whoever stands up, come here. But that means there's something that can be amazing here. But that also means the devil's going to attack here more than he attacks anywhere. You can't let it happen. We've got to do something, guys, because our culture and our church are in trouble. And it's because our marriages flat out stink. Honestly, really. Pope John Paul II used to say, the family is the foundation of society. As the family goes, so goes this nation, and so goes the world in which we live. There is something that's not going on right out there because something's not going right in here. When we went to Northern Arizona University, that was the one I thought, these kids, come on, they're in college, they could care less about a couple coming and talking about marriage. 40 people were at Mass, 60 were at dinner, and the priest comes up to us. Father Matt said, you guys don't be, concerned if you see a lot of them leaving, because, they come for the free meal, really. And then most of them leave. They kept coming and coming and coming. 200 young adults on a Thursday night in college came to hear a story about marriage. We were not taking any of our resources in, because I'm thinking, $11 for a book? No, they're going to spend it on something else, like beer or something. He had to go out to the car again and bring more in, and they stayed for 2 hours after. But the most important part? They stayed, but they cried on our shoulder because they wanted to know what they could do for their parents' marriage. Gosh, what do? We always say to people, it's like for these young adults, if you were to go to the airport and see that across the marquee right before you get on the airplane, and it said, this plane has a 50% chance of making it to its destination, would you get on the plane? That's what we're doing in marriage. They're scared to death of what they've seen marriage be. They say, what, if that's what marriage looks like, no thanks. We'll just try it out and do something different. Because I'm telling you, and I'm going to put it on you men. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm not saying it's your fault that you weren't there when she was forced to eat the apple. I'm kidding. But I'm going to put it on you. Because our culture has lied to you for centuries. They tell you to just sit back and be a spectator in this thing called life and just watch what happens, because you know what? She'll take over. And she'll never let you take back. She'll never let you be in control. She'll never let you lead. So just sit back and don't participate. That's a lie. Because men, you are told you're priests, prophets, and kings. Like Greg said, if Satan wants to take anybody else, who is he going to take out? The leader, the head. Because if you get rid of the head, then it's all chaos. You can't think. So I am going to ask, if you're a man, stand up. Oh, thank God I didn't have to ask twice. There's places we go where I'm like, oh no. So guys, really, do you play sports just to have fun? What do you play for? To compete. Okay, there you go. But really, what do you play for? To win. But this is the game that you will have to, this is the most fierce game you'll ever have to play in your life. It says, husbands, leave your mother and father and cling to your wife. That means work at making it right. So are you willing to do whatever it takes for the soul of your wife? Yes. For the soul of your children? Yes. What's your name? Dwayne? And your name? Rhonda. Rhonda. Dwayne, at the moment of Rhonda's conception, God saw you. And he knew that he chose you to entrust her soul with. He placed the most precious gift he could ever give you into your care and said, please take care of this. Don't hurt it, don't trample on it, don't mess with it, but give it back to me better than the way you received it. Did you know that you're stewards of the soul of your wife? And you women, we're stewards of the soul of our husband. But can I be real honest? We need to sit down and be more ladylike so the men can stand up and be more gentlemen. Because I don't know about you women, but I'm a little tired of trying to run the church and to try to run my home. I am not saying that there's not important positions or places for you to be in the church, don't get me wrong. And there is definitely an important place for you to be in your home, because you are the heart. Without the heart, as I know, there is no life. So we have got to make this right, but it's up to you men. Because there is a big old war going on out there, and I'm not talking about the one in Syria. I'm not talking about the one overseas, and thanks be to God for anybody that's been in the armed forces. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the war that's in your home. And it's the war between God, who wants you in heaven forever, and Satan, who can't stand God, that wants to rip everything out of your hands, including the soul of your wife and your children. You can't let it happen. Amen? Amen. You can sit down now. But it gets to the point where we have to realize we were created for a purpose, for life and for love. So why are there 4,000 abortions every single day in our nation and 3,600 plus divorces every single day in our nation? Life and love. We're killing ourselves.